Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Attack on Titan anime review. This one's going to be for Season 3, Episode 14, which is called Thunder Spears. And yeah, this was another really enjoyable episode. This, I suppose, properly got the action of this arc going on. And yeah, we started off, I think, with a lot of tactics and setting up the idea for the plan. And, you know, each side sort of figuring and thinking each other out. With obviously the leaders of the Survey Corps obviously understanding that the Titans are going to want to target the horses because that's their main way of getting, you know, back to, I suppose, safety, because as much as they're trying to reclaim one of the walls here, the space in between is still like Titan territory. So the horses are that kind of thing that they still need. So it's more or less, you know, if we lose the horses, we lose this completely. So I like that they really addressed that and based a large part of the plan around protecting the horses, acknowledging that that's going to be a major thing that's attacked. Then they also have to deal with the fact that the Armored Titan is like right there, and they've had such a trouble dealing with him before, but this is basically what the entire episode is about, this ultimate plan to finally take out the Armored Titan. Will they do it? And that's exactly where they end the episode on, with a cliffhanger of, have they done it? It seems like they have. It seems like they've overkilled basically on this one. But the fact that they even in any way leave it as a cliffhanger, leave it as a question in your mind, have they done it? To me says that they probably haven't. Which, like, to me feels a bit like if Reiner somehow survives this is just like absurd, like especially after you've spent most of this episode setting up how powerful the Thunder Spears are, and then Reiner literally gets hit with about 20 of them. And like, I don't think that's like over exaggerating or anything like that. It is close to probably 20 that he gets hit with here. Most of them in like the exact same area, right around the nape of the neck where he is. There really should be no way he survives this, but I get the impression they probably will have him survive in some way, just because of obviously them trying to suggest the question, and then the fact that Bertholdt hasn't come in yet, and they haven't had any interaction, so I don't think they'll kill off Reiner before Bertholdt even kind of enters this battle in any way, so that was a kind of weird way to end it, of just like, it seems like this kind of crazy cliffhanger, but then you can sort of see through a lot of the writing behind it, and it is just a sort of tease of something, when I think they more or less should have committed to like giving the Thunder Spears like an immediate kill. Because like, okay, look, this on any other Titan, any Titan that doesn't really have armor along the lines of Reiner, it probably is just a kill. They don't need to use half as many things as they do. Sure, Reiner as being like the defensive, the armor Titan, it makes sense how he's like this durable, but they're really kind of pushing the limits of like how like survivable he is. But yeah, there's a lot of other nice stuff in the episode. Erwin getting a lot more focus here as well, with him taking time to formulate his plan, you know, giving the orders and then just staying there on top of the wall and just being completely calm, even though the Armored Titan's like right next to him, basically like asking the question of like, okay, you figured out what we figured out. What are you going to do? Are you going to go after the horses like you want to? Or are you going to potentially fall into our trap and go after Eren, who's your ultimate plan? What do you do? And I like that. And then the kind of inner monologue in his head of just like, especially the visual that they kind of showed of him sort of standing on the bodies of all the scouts that have sort of died under his command. And how like he's had this dream that relates to obviously his father, what his father told him. You know, I think this arc for this character is coming together fairly nicely. They're obviously setting up that when he decides to enter the battle himself, it's going to be a major point. When exactly that is, the nature of what exactly they do is going to be interesting. But I like that they've brought up the fact that, yeah, like the amount of people who have died under his orders, even though I suppose he's accomplished in a way the most as the leader of the Scouts, it is still a lot that's happened. And so what are they going to do with that is the big thing to, I suppose, talk about. Levi is kept behind, even though the rest of the squad is kind of sent out to take out the Armored Titan, because Erwin specifically wants Levi as the one to fight the Beast Titan, who is sort of hanging back. They also figure out around this time that the kind of the Titan that has the kind of luggage, as they call it, on his back, the supplies, he realistically is also some sort of a scout, intelligent Titan as well. So that seems to be another potential Titan shifter that we're talking about here. I suppose before them pointing it out, I wouldn't immediately say that myself, and that like, oh, the Monkey Titan can control other Titans, so we just found a weird one that looks more kind of runs on four legs and arms, and just strap this supply stuff to it, and that's it. But no, they seem to be pointing out the fact that it is actually probably a Titan shifter, so whatever special Titan that is, I suppose, is going to be interesting, the like Supply Titan or whatever, Scout Titan, whatever way you want to talk about it. But bit of an odd one there, but it makes sense to have like more than just the Beast Titan, Colossal Titan, and Armored Titan here, that there is the other ones as well. Anything else I really need to talk about here? I suppose involving Eren in the plan, it's something that they sort of always kind of have to do, in that like just having a Titan like that, they acknowledge that they need Eren in Titan form to fight Reiner, to give the opening for the Thunder Spear attack. And I like that it's a super powerful weapon that the scouts now have, but it is very dangerous that they acknowledge that they can't just do this typical thing they do with their swords, where they just go straight in, slash super up close. This is more of a ranged weapon, but they have to get in like sort of close. So it's a sort of delicate window where you can actually use it, and that you have to be close enough to aim it properly and have it, and I suppose give it enough time to sort of like to actually pierce through, and then you have to carefully, I suppose, judge timing the release of the, I suppose, detonation with how far away you are from the detonation. So it seems like they're potentially setting up that, okay, yeah, probably someone's going to either by accident or to guarantee a hit sacrifice themselves by just going, full force, point blank Thunder Spear, just melee weapon Thunder Spear, which could be a cool sacrifice. Who would do it, I'm not really sure, but this is a pretty big battle, so we're probably expecting a couple of characters to die here, so that I think is something to keep an eye out on. But the Thunder Spears, I think they're definitely much needed, with characters having the hardening ability, and then them basically saying it's more or less like a one-hit kill on any normal Titan, but like you only use it in important situations, is quite interesting. And yeah, the Eren and Armored Titan fight before the Thunder Spear comes into play. Again, I continue to always enjoy this. This is a really kind of nice rivalry of just seeing Eren develop, whereas Reiner, for the most part, has just been at like a certain standard level, and it's Eren who's the one who's sort of rising to the occasion, and is now, I think, clearly, for the most part, better than him, and is able to kind of get the victory here. And I like the little bits of MMA that you get to see here. I think we saw what was effectively a Kimura lock here done by Eren on Reiner before it was kind of like reversed, and then the Thunder Spear attack came in. And it was well planned out. It was just that like they weren't going to use the Thunder Spears while Eren was holding on to him, but just Eren holding him in position allowed them to sort of set up the sort of specific circumstances you need for the Thunder Spears, and that they have to line up the maneuver gear, where are they going to attach their lines to, give them enough time to both fire and then get out of the blast radius at the same time, and it all, I think, worked and came together quite nicely. And the big, obviously, the cliffhanger, like I said, is that it seems like Reiner is dead. He gets hit. Like, the first, they take out his eyes first to leave him sort of like stranded in place. Then the first wave of Thunder Spears to the nape of his neck sort of cracks the armor. So the last wave is basically full force as if he's just a normal Titan, hitting him right in the weak point. And there's like 10 of them or something like that attached in at this point. They all explode at the same time. How on earth can he possibly survive this is the question, even though very, very likely he is staying alive and into next week, just with the way these things tend to go. So I think that's the big question. Is it going to be just a flat-out negative if he does survive? Like, it depends, of course, on how exactly they go about doing it and stuff like that. But I think it is going to remain like, hey, remember that time, they basically blew up Reiner point blank and he still managed to survive? That was great, wasn't it? So I hope they don't like go crazy or anything like that. I hope it is well done. Now they still could do the thing where like he does survive, he is killed, but like at that point, like why not use that as like the big shocking cliffhanger for the episode, that like we just killed the Armored Titan, we got a big victory, what did the enemy do now? But they didn't choose to go that road, of course. So, I think that's my thoughts on episode 14 of Attack on Titan. It's still the early days of this arc. We're getting kind of prepared for a lot of stuff to happen. The Beast Titan still has to kind of come in. We're waiting for Bertolt to come in. And there's definitely some sense that there's a bigger surprise, in a way, waiting to happen that's going to, like, turn the tables. And we know from the, like, the in the future moment from the end of the first half of this season that something does go wrong in all of this, and there's a very tense moment that was a sort of like tease of the future that they sort of showed, kind of teasing this half of the arc. So not everything's going to go right is, I suppose, the big thing, but we're just waiting to see what exactly happens. Erwin also mentions that he hopes that he does survive long enough to get to see what's in the basement and obviously figure out everything that was right, if his father was right, if he was right to sort of follow that for most of his life. And that's going to be interesting. I like that Erwin is getting a focus in this arc as well. But they're my thoughts on this episode. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.